So with that, I'll stop there and certainly hand it over to our Executive Director, Amy Ford.
Well, Nick did such an able job of all of the announcements, and I thought maybe just let me talk a little bit about some of the public comment as I was sitting and listening in to all of that, and I really appreciate it. Amy, certainly I've gotten some new notes, and Alejandra as well as Heidi, and so thanks. Let me talk just briefly about the Alameda repurposing project. As well as you, Brian. So thank you too for chiming in. The Alameda repurposing project is not on hold. It's continuing to move forward and finalize sort of the design and evaluation of that. The thing that did pause on it, I'd asked a few months ago actually that we pause the project for just a little bit as we were moving through the construction, due to the fact that we had construction moving on Alameda Underpass and wanting to sort of settle in on that as far as traffic patterns and those kinds of things, and not wanting to double up a second major construction project right on Alameda, right at the same time that we've had several activities going on Alameda. And so those, I know those two could get conflated, but that was the reason why it's shifted a little bit in its time schedule for construction. So we were letting that sort of filter in and finish first as we then started planning for the construction for Alameda. And so we're finishing up our work and our design and getting ready for the RFP for our construction activities, which I would anticipate would be then sometime early next year. So that's just in general some of what we're looking at in the timing of all of that. And we really appreciate all of the comments that folks have made in regards to this project. We know it's generated a lot of attention recently and a lot of discussion, and we appreciate that. We are very much focused on the safety of this corridor and recognize what we are seeing in regards to safety, the crashes, the types of crashes, what causes them, many of them being attached to the left-hand turns, the crossing patterns that we have of pedestrians and cyclists in the corridor. And as a person, obviously, who is in that corridor every single day, as I'm over in this area as well, very cognizant about what we want to try to improve from a safety perspective. So we thank the West Park Neighborhood Association and all the others for your comments and your feedback during this period as well. We will also see the recent fatalities that we've seen in the West Side in particular as frustrating and devastating. And as we've obviously had the conversations with Heidi about this, as we know, for the West 14th corridor in particular, we have reassigned that corridor. So we have downgraded it, which means we are downgrading it also in regards to speed and a variety of other things. We have finished that process in regards to the sort of the administrative process, if we will, of that. And we are in the process of getting ready. The work order is on the list, and our teams will be going out and doing the signage and changing all of that here later this fall, so here soon. And yes, in a perfect world, those tasks will have been done already, and that they aren't right now. We recognize that there are a lot of thoughts and plans and ideas about different projects and others that we have that we would like to do and improve. Recognize that, yes, dollars are a part of those constraints, and recognize that there are allocations of dollars that people like or don't like in regards to what we've done sort of citywide and how we've applied all of that. But I want you to know that we see you, we hear you. We are, as you know, we go through the process now after each of those fatalities, and we're still finishing up the work both on that 38th and Tejon, as well as this on West 14th, and really carefully evaluating. This is our rapid response process. Are there changes or improvements or other things that we can and we should be making that could address any situations that we see right in that environment? But we do that also within the context of the crash reports and the information that we receive from DPD on how and what happened during these crashes, and then take a look at both the physical environments, the infrastructure environments, as well as sort of behavioral environments, and what we might see and what we might adjust within all of that. And so I just thought I would just sort of answer some of those, notes and questions and comments. And thank you for taking the time to join the group here today, as we do sit and we do listen and we do take all of that in to sort of our process within DOTI. So thank you.
Thanks, Director Ford. We have time for about 5 minutes of questions here for DOTI leadership. If anyone would like to ask questions, feel welcome to virtually raise your hand here with Zoom. Paul, I saw your real hand first, so please go for it.
Yeah, you can teach an old dog Zoom tricks. Just throwing this out there, that this would be a great topic for future discussion. Obviously, a ton of coordinated press today coming out about the future of New Bronco Stadium, potentially development for La Alma, Lincoln Park, Baker. I know we're throwing also in a new soccer stadium to the mix. It's new stadium fest here in the Mile High City. Not a question, but I'd love if you guys in your department are getting insight to that. I know the bond package coming up includes improvements to 8th and bridge reinforcements for 6. Just selfishly tooting that I'd love to see that as maybe a future talking.
It's a great idea, Paul. We'd be happy to come back and sit and talk about that. You have those pieces and the developments that will be happening in the planning and the mobility environments that sit within that. You also have concurrent now with this, the start of the Burnham area planning process that CPD will be leading, that obviously DOTI will be participating in actively as we think about areas of mobility and connectivity and what it means to create community in these environments that have long been closed off, right? For all intents and purposes, for the general public. And so what that means. So I think that would be a great conversation. We could sit and talk about that. I know if Amy's still on, obviously a lot of work is going in and around the stadium and the discussions there related to the soccer stadium, and sort of that in the future and what it means for future mobility. Just a quick note about that. Right now, the developer is still in the works of putting together the mobility plan for that process. And so we are working as they put that together and the assessments and the impacts of that. How do people get around? How do you encourage multimodal use? What does that look like? Where does parking go? How do people access those? You're totally right. There's a lot to talk about.
Great. I think we have time for 2 more questions. Joe and then June.
Okay, Director Ford, thanks for coming in. I did have a question.
No, thanks for joining us yesterday at the EV.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
You guys missed a great trash truck, let me tell you. It was fantastic. And they had the second grade of the Teller Elementary School. You couldn't have seen more excited kids about this trash truck. So it was really good. And of course, everybody from the city had a nice speech, so it was good. I just had a question. We're hearing more, and I heard just today from Kara that there's sort of a change in direction on some of the city projects to get a hold of the budget. Is there kind of some overview you can have of what is going on with this and how we're trying to deal with our limited funds, or is this not the time?
Yeah, no, we're going to talk a little bit about that here later in the agenda. We're going to give a bigger picture on the budgeting process, where we are and how that looks. And then what we'd love to do is actually come back and talk to you as the budget book is getting worked and released, presentations that we'll have about the capital side of the budget. So much of what we're going to talk about today is on the general fund side and sort of the services and contracts and the people, and then talk about the capital side and the capital investments, which invests in what we are clearly so value here, which is mobility and transportation and connectivity and safety improvements. So, and sort of where those dollars are and how they're all being fit together. So yeah, we'd love to come back and chat about that too.
Perfect, thanks.
Thanks, Paul. June.
Just to ask about Alameda again real quick. I said you mentioned that the delay was to sort of phase out the construction. That kind of doesn't make sense to me logically, because I would think that it's almost better to just rip the Band-Aid off, get the construction out of the way, and get the benefits on the roadway now.
Yeah.
Especially while we're still in slightly warmer months, because as we all know, construction, if there's snow on the ground, can slow down. That can cause delays and costs and all that. So why does it make sense to move the start of construction into the winter months?
Yeah, we'll get it going into sort of probably winter, spring as we go. So what we had going is we had the Alameda Bridge, the Alameda Underpass, I-25 and Broadway all happening at the same time. So people's east-west connectivity through the neighborhood was getting impacted on a number of different ways. And so there's just a lot of impact happening for literally people just trying to get out to I-25, trying to get out, because those are the primary ways of getting out. And so that was to layer one more construction project on top of that. Right then, I asked, and that was me. I asked for it just to pause a little bit because we go later here into the fall and that kind of thing, so that we are balancing the impacts of all that construction and allowing the Alameda underpass because it just started up, and sort of the traffic patterns and all of that to get leveled out so that we could see people and getting them in and out, and then actually let I-25 and Broadway, which, as many of you know, has been pretty impactful. It's been shutting down access to I-25, et cetera. Get that sort of smoothed out too as we get going on this project. So
Yeah.
legit,
And-
that was what we're doing.
And also, I'll just say for my part, I was at some of the meetings where they were doing planning and design for this. I heard nothing but good things from the neighborhood.
Mhm.
I, frankly, from what I've seen, would prefer no design changes to that project.
Mhm.
And this extra time before construction, we shouldn't be spending money and time redesigning it. It should be a strict, like, we're going to hold on, start construction later, and given the layoffs, have our designers work on stuff other than continuing to revise.
Mhm.
For the most part, already drawn up plans. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's what I got.
Great. Thanks, June. Thanks, Director.